After the season that the Lakers just had, many people knew that changes needed to be made with this roster. Injuries and COVID protocols kept this team from truly defending their title this past season. After going up 2-1 against the Phoenix Suns, the Lakers looked like they were in control of the series and on their way to the second round of the playoffs. But the injury to Anthony Davis was the nail in the coffin for the Lakers' title hopes. I mean, you could argue that the Suns were still the better team even if AD was healthy, and that's definitely possible. But AD's versatility on both ends was needed for the Lakers to have any chance against the Phoenix Suns. The chemistry with the Lakers wasn't as good as it was before AD and LeBron went down. LeBron wasn't quite the same coming back from his high ankle sprain. Dennis Schroeder missed a ton of games because of COVID protocols, and the rest of the Lakers' role players just simply failed to step up and provide any consistent production. A lot of things went against the Lakers this past season, and it was almost like they weren't meant to win a championship this season. Ever since the Lakers were eliminated from the playoffs, there had been speculation about them trying to add another point guard, someone who could take some of the ball handling responsibilities from LeBron, who is going into his 19th season. Dennis Schroeder had a good start to his Lakers career, and he looked like he could be the future point guard for the franchise. The Lakers even offered Schroeder an $80 million contract extension during the season, and it was quite surprising that he actually turned it down, which could be a blessing for the Lakers going forward. Schroeder is a good player, and he did have a good season in his last year in OKC, but he is not worthy of all-star money. And it's not like he's a marksman from three-point range either. He shot only 33% from three this past season. So upgrading at this position was something that the Lakers front office had as their number one priority going into the offseason. Their top targets were players like Damian Lillard and Chris Paul. But with limited assets, it was damn near impossible for the Lakers to trade for Lillard. And it's not even a guarantee that the Blazers will end up trading Dame this offseason. And they couldn't afford to wait for the Blazers to decide if they want to make a move. And a Chris Paul trade seemed very unlikely. Besides the lack of assets that the Lakers had, there's no way I could see the Phoenix Suns helping the Lakers out by trading them Chris Paul, a team that's in the same division. So the Lakers had to look in another direction and made a decision before the NBA draft. The biggest trade on draft night was the Lakers trading for Russell Westbrook. Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Montrezl Harrell, and the 22nd pick was just enough for the Lakers to acquire the former league MVP. Westbrook is coming home. As a kid in LA, Westbrook was a big-time Laker fan, and his favorite player was always Magic Johnson. And Westbrook's parents were even bigger Laker fans. Considering the position the Lakers were in, this was a good move. This trade was a calculated risk. There are some reasons to be concerned about the fit, but there are also reasons to be excited about Westbrook playing with AD and LeBron. Is Westbrook a great fit on paper with the Lakers? Probably not, but it's really unfair to truly evaluate the Westbrook addition without knowing what role players the Lakers are going to add around the big three. Let's talk about what Russ brings to the table for LA. It's important for the Lakers to find a way to limit LeBron James' workload throughout the regular season. Let me remind you again, he's going into his 19th season. Getting another ball handler was essential for the Lakers' title run next season. You needed someone who could consistently take his opponents off the dribble and score easy buckets. You needed someone who can run the offense from time to time. Even though he got off to a slow start with the Wizards last season, he got much more comfortable with his teammates after the All-Star break and lifted the Wizards to the last spot in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. It's reported that AD and LeBron met with Westbrook around 2 weeks ago, and that triggered discussions from the Lakers and the Wizards about a possible blockbuster trade. For this big three to get the best out of each other, sacrifices need to be made. And that's almost true with all big threes. AD needs to be more willing to play the center position, LeBron needs to be more willing to play the power forward spot, and Russ needs to be more willing to play off the ball sometimes. Westbrook has never played with a superstar quite like LeBron. LeBron is more than willing to allow a player like Westbrook to play his game and take over as a scorer, especially during the regular season. LeBron wanted AD to be the focus of the offense as soon as he was traded to the Lakers. With LeBron getting older, it will make sense for him to be more willing to take a step back in terms of scoring than he was early in his career. The big question about this trade is, will there be enough shooting on the floor for the Lakers? The truth is, we don't know yet. There's only 5 players currently on the roster, and it's unfair at this point to predict their outside shooting before they fill out their roster. Westbrook has never been a good three-point shooter. Everybody knows that. He has improved as a shooter from mid-range throughout his career, but overall, he's not reliable as you would want him to be. But it's important to note that Dennis Schroeder really wasn't great as a three-point shooter either for the Lakers. He only shot 33% from three, and Westbrook shot 31%. Now, I do believe Schroeder is a much better shooter than he showed with the Lakers, but I believe Russ still can be a more impactful player than Schroeder was with the Lakers if they can get enough shooting around the big three. With LeBron's unselfishness and the attention that AD will get, Westbrook could get the easiest scoring opportunity he has ever had in his NBA career. All three players making it easy for one another is best for the Lakers overall, especially in the regular season. Now, there is a chance that a Buddy Hield trade could still happen even after the Westbrook addition, but only if Dennis Schroeder is part of the deal, and that will have to be a sign and trade. The Westbrook trade is not official just yet and cannot be official until free agency starts. That leaves open the possibility that more teams could get involved in the deal, but there's no guarantee that the team that agrees to sign Schroeder would even want to help the Lakers out. Taylor Horton-Tucker and Alex Caruso are also free agents, and there's a decent chance that one of them might be too expensive for the Lakers to retain. And it's very possible that one of them could be added to a possible sign and trade deal for Buddy Hield. When you think of free agents that the Lakers could sign to a minimum deal, you think of players like J.J. Redick, Reggie Bullock, Jeff Green, Carmelo Anthony, Wayne Ellington, and they could even bring back Danny Green. I know a lot of Lakers fans don't want to hear that, but Danny Green will be a good addition for the minimum. I believe the Lakers' options were limited going into the offseason. The trade for Westbrook was a calculated risk that could pay huge dividends if Rob Pelinka can work his magic and fill out the roster that could maximize the potential of LeBron, AD, and Westbrook.